Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Faye Kwan. The Human Resources Ministry has issued a firm denial that Minister Stephen Sim has ever appointed any individual as his advisor. His press secretary, Abdul Hakim Abdul Rahman, says the ministry is aware of claims that a businessman allegedly linked to a 10 million ringgit fraud was acting as the minister's advisor.
He stressed that any inquiries regarding positions within the minister's office or the Human Resources Ministry should be directed to the ministry's official channels. This clarification came after a news portal reported that a businessman bearing the title Tan Sri had deceived the public by falsely claiming ties to the ministry. On March 29th, police arrested the suspect said to have 30 years of experience in the oil and gas industry for allegedly misappropriating funds, claiming they were meant to settle a money laundering case with authorities. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussain has confirmed that a press conference on the matter will be held soon.
Malaysia and ASEAN remain committed to standing with the people of Myanmar following the recent earthquake. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the bloc will continue to support ongoing humanitarian aid efforts. In a Facebook post, Anwar said the Special Malaysia Disaster Assistance and Rescue Team, or SMART, was deployed to Myanmar earlier today to assist in search and rescue operations in the hardest hit areas. He added that another humanitarian mission, led by Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan, was scheduled to depart soon. Anwar said he had informed Myanmar's Senior General Min Aung Hlaing of the special ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting held yesterday to mobilize regional support for the crisis. He also contacted his Thai counterpart, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, to express condolences over the earthquake's impact on Thailand. The Prime Minister is expected to participate in further discussions during his working visit to Bangkok on April 17th. Hopes of finding more survivors in central Myanmar are fading as the critical 72-hour window closes. In Mandalay, residents spent a third night sleeping outdoors after the 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck on Friday, killing at least 2,000 people in Myanmar and neighbouring Thailand. Many are still believed to be trapped under the rubble in Mandalay, which is near the epicenter of the quake. Officials say the powerful tremors caused basement floors to collapse, trapping some victims underground. Rescue efforts have been hampered by a lack of heavy machinery and difficult weather conditions, with temperatures expected to reach 40 degrees Celsius. The heat has exhausted workers and accelerated body decomposition, which could make identification more difficult. Funerals for hundreds of victims are also expected to take place soon. A recent report from software company iProof reveals that only 0.1% of people can spot AI-generated deepfakes. As the technology advances, the risk to consumers and businesses grow exponentially. Founder and CEO Andrew Butt shares insights on the dangers of AI deepfakes and how to mitigate them.
So a recent estimate is that Malaysians lost $12.8 billion to various online scams last year. We're finding the use of deepfakes is rocketing. For example, in our threat intelligence report, we found that the use of one particularly easy but effective form of deepfake called a face swap had just tripled in use last year. So 300% growth. And that's where a crook or somebody malicious takes a photograph of the victim from the internet, and our faces are completely public, and they're able to take just one photograph of us and paste it over their own faces like an absolutely perfect mask. And then they can look and, in many cases, sound exactly like the victim. They can set up bank accounts in this case.
Andrew highlights the role of government and institutions to protect their people against the misuse of the technology.
I think it's up to governments and organizations like banks to use the appropriate technology necessary to defend the identity of citizens against these sorts of attacks. And there are technologies available that can really help organizations and governments keep people safe. So increasingly, proving our identity is going to be something, is going to fall back on the thing that nobody can steal from us and cannot be shared, which is our faces. You can't steal or share a face. You can copy it, and therefore a face is a fantastically good way of securing your identity, providing that you can tell the difference between the genuinely present article and a copy like a deepfake. That's why liveness has such a profoundly important role in the future life of the citizen, and why a heavy responsibility lies with companies like us who protect citizens for governments and banks all over the world, in the United States, in various states of Europe, in South Africa, and in the Asia Pacific region. The second thing, which is really, really important, is monitor. Monitor, study, watch the attackers attacking, learn from what they're doing, study the very latest AI techniques that they're using, and build defenses to protect against those new methods before they become a real threat. If by watching the attackers attack, we learn more about what they're doing than they learn from us. And that information advantage is a huge, huge weapon in our arsenal in helping to keep people safe from deepfakes when they're using their faces to prove their identity.
We'll be back with more after the break. Stay tuned.
Kerap menggaruk kulit kepala disebabkan kelomomor, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head & Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi kelomomor dan kegatalan. Bebas kelomomor sehingga 100%. Head & Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi. Maggi Curry. Rasanya tiada ganti. Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu. Dimasak seikhlas rasa. Air tangan insan istimewa. Masak bersama Harmoni Raya. Dapatkan resepi inspirasi di maggi.my.
Welcome back. US President Donald Trump says his upcoming reciprocal tariffs will apply to all countries. He is set to make the announcement on April 2nd, a date he has dubbed as Liberation Day.
All countries. So let's see what happens. There are many countries. I haven't heard a rumor about 15 countries, 10 or 15.
So you're starting with all countries?
Essentially, all of the countries that we're talking about, we'll be talking about.
White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett previously suggested that the measures would target 10 to 15 countries responsible for the bulk of the US trade deficit. While specific details remain unclear, the administration has pledged to impose duties matching the tariffs and non-tariff trade barriers other countries place on US exports. Trump has already imposed tariffs on aluminium, steel and autos, along with increased tariff on all goods from China. Meanwhile, Trump says a deal for TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, to sell the video app will be finalized before the April 5th deadline. He previously said he was open to extending the deadline if an agreement has not been reached.
We have a lot of potential buyers. There's tremendous interest in TikTok. The decision is going to be my decision, as you know, through Congress. They've given me the power to make the decision. We're dealing with China also on it because they may have something to do with it, and we'll see how that goes. But it's something I think you're going to have. I'd like to see TikTok remain alive.
The app, used by nearly half of all Americans, has faced uncertainty since a 2024 law was passed with bipartisan support. It had required ByteDance to divest TikTok by January 19th or risk a US ban over national security concerns. Trump extended that deadline to April 5th after returning to the White House for a second term. Last week, Reuters reported that private equity firm Blackstone was considering a small minority investment in TikTok's US operations. Thousands marched through Dallas, Texas on Sunday, demanding legal protections for immigrants in the face of a crackdown by the Trump administration that has targeted undocumented migrants, foreign students, and even legal U.S. residents. The protesters held aloft a giant American flag and chanted, "Yes, we can," in Spanish. The administration of U.S. President Donald Trump has received pushback from the courts for the arrest and swift deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members under a 1798 law, as well as for the arrests of foreigners in the U.S. on student visas and a green card holder. Texas Democratic Member of Congress Al Green said it is crucial to preserve due process. Domingo Garcia, president of the League of United Latin American Citizens, which helped organize Sunday's march, said it was time to end the fear-mongering. In a recent Reuters Ipsos polling, about half of U.S. respondents approved of Trump's approach to immigration. Trump kicked off a wide-ranging crackdown after taking office on January 20th, sending military troops to the U.S.-Mexico border and reassigning federal agents to assist with immigration enforcement. His administration has increased arrests and opened up new routes to deport migrants, even as deportations have lagged those under former President Joe Biden, a Democrat. The president has also targeted legal immigration, attempting to freeze the U.S. refugee resettlement program and revoke visas and green cards of students who participated in pro-Palestinian protests. In an executive order, Trump tried to restrict automatic birthright citizenship, sparking a legal battle. Rescuers have recovered the bodies of 15 aid workers in Gaza, according to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. This brings an end to a week-long search for the crew members who had gone missing after coming under heavy fire. Videos showed members of the Palestine Red Crescent Society, PRCS, and Palestinian Civil Defense, PCD, excavating a mass grave in Tal al-Sultan in Gaza's Rafah Governorate. The 15 bodies recovered included those of 8 PRCS members, 6 PCD personnel, and 1 UN staffer. The footage showed rescuers recovering the bodies buried beneath the sand next to the mangled remains of their clearly marked emergency vehicles, including ambulances, a fire truck, and a UN-labeled car. According to the International Red Cross Society, all communication was lost with their PRCS colleagues after their convoy was attacked in Rafah during the early hours of March 23rd.
Health workers should never be a target, and yet we're here today digging up a mass grave of first responders and paramedics. 7 days ago, civil defense and PRCS ambulances arrived at the scene. One by one, they were hit, they were struck, their bodies were gathered and buried in this mass grave. We're digging them out in their uniforms, with their gloves on. They were here to save lives. Instead, they ended up in a mass grave. Their vehicles, their ambulances, UN vehicles, civil defense vehicles are crushed and dumped, covered in sand next to us. It's an absolute horror. What has happened here? This should never happen. Healthcare workers should never be a target.
According to the UN, at least 1,060 healthcare workers have been killed in the 18 months since Israel launched its offensive in Gaza, after Hamas fighters stormed southern Israel on October 7, 2023. Hamas killed 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and took more than 250 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. More than 50,000 people, meanwhile, have died in Gaza, the majority civilians, according to the health authorities. The Israeli military said it does its best to reduce harm to civilians and questioned the death toll provided by health authorities in the Hamas-run territory. That wraps up AWANI Tonight. Do check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Faye Kwan. Thank you for watching, and from all of us at Astro AWANI, we'd like to wish you a Selamat Hari Raya, Maaf Zahir dan Batin. Good night.